Is Canelo versus Crawford a waste of time? For over a year now, there have been rumors of a potential Canelo Alvarez vs Terence Crawford fight. Crawford is currently the WBA light middleweight champion, while Canelo is the unified super middleweight champion. 14 pounds separate the fighters, but that's not the biggest deal since walk-around weight and fight weight are different from fighter to fighter. Now, I understand why fans want to see this fight. It's two of the best boxers of the past 15 years stepping in the ring. For Crawford, it would of course be his biggest payday. We have seen fighters move up in weight pretty fast over the past few decades, such as Roy Jones Jr. when he fought John Ruiz for the heavyweight title, Manny Pacquiao jumping up 2 weight classes to fight De La Hoya, and even Jermell Charlo bumping up to fight Canelo in 2022. But when Crawford first won at this Canelo fight, he was just coming off his win against Errol Spence at 147 pounds. 147 to 168 is a lot of weight. He would get a win at his first fight at 154 back in August against Israel Madrimov for the WBA title, but that ended up being his hardest fight of his career, winning by a close decision. This is when I definitely started to believe that these Crawford vs Canelo rumors should be squashed. But now they're starting to come back again, and they're getting a lot of press. So first I want to talk about Canelo and his resume and his time in the ring recently. It all really started with the Bivol fight, the Bivol loss. Now, when he lost to Bivol, that said nothing bad about Canelo. I respected Canelo even more. I started to actually like Canelo even more, bumping up to 175, a weight that he is just not big enough for. Yeah, he knocked out, of course, Kovalev years ago when Kovalev was a bit older. That was very impressive, but a young prime Bivol, that's daring to be great. Really respect it. Losing does not change anything, okay? Doesn't change anything about his legacy. I respect Canelo for daring to be great, but after that fight is when things started to really take a different turn. He started to decline more. His resume started to get a bit weaker. And it also started with Ryder, okay? Went to the decision, went to the cards, knocked him down once, but that's a fight that you should have stopped. In Mexico, in a soccer stadium, you got to stop a guy like Ryder, okay? Fights Charlo, okay? That fight, good example of what a Canelo versus Crawford fight would be. Canelo just walked him down. Canelo was just a bigger dog, dominated him. Didn't stop him, but of course, knocked him down once and then had a pretty good, unanimous decision. And then also with Munguia, same thing. Already not with the weight differences, but, even though he didn't stop him, dominant performance. Then same thing with Berlanga and so on. So, of course, Canelo, we've been wanting to see him fight Benavidez first. That fight's probably not going to happen. I mentioned this in my wish list. It's probably not going to happen because we're already hearing rumors of Canelo wanting to fight William Skull, the IBF mandatory. Well, he's not a mandatory anymore because Canelo doesn't have the belt, but he was the mandatory. Skull is the IBF champion now. There's rumors that he might be fighting Skull in May. Okay, so that leaves, and Canelo only fights twice a year. Okay, so usually May and September. So that leaves with a fight in September. I think more reasonable by September would be a Crawford fight. Benavidez, he's doing good things. He's a very good fighter, Benavidez is, and he's bumped up to 175. He's looking good. He already has a fight against Morrell coming up. I really don't see why I don't really see why Benavidez should bump back down to 168 just to fight Canelo, besides money, okay? And I don't see Canelo bumping up to 175. I mentioned this. If Benavidez bumps down, I mentioned this in my wish list video, if Benavidez bumps down to 168 within this next year, I think Canelo definitely beats him, okay? It's going to be a hard cut for Benavidez. I think Canelo still has the skills to do it. Now, if Canelo bumps up to Benavidez, his weight, at 175, I think Benavidez beats him. This fight needs to happen within the next year. Canelo's only getting older, and Benavidez is shying away even more from the 168 pounds. I'm surprised he even made 168 to begin with throughout his career. It's going to be too late for Benavidez to move down to 168 again, and it's going to be too late for Canelo to be skilled enough if this fight happens in 26. If they want to fight, Benavidez and Canelo needs to happen in 25. Okay, now, that leaves that open fight in September. If he fights Skull in May, Canelo does, that leaves that open fight in September. I think then it'll be more reasonable to fight Crawford if he doesn't want to fight Benavidez. Okay, it will give Crawford maybe an extra fight at maybe even 160. Getting some experience there instead of bumping right from 154 to 168. If Crawford gets a fight early at 160 or maybe even defends his title at 154, it needs to be a challenger, needs to look for a guy a little bigger than him. Fundora would be good. Then it could be reasonable to fight Canelo in September. But, alrighty, let's talk about the Canelo and Crawford size difference. I think Canelo and Crawford, their height is not too different. Their height's not too different. If we're looking at Canelo's height, 5'7", Terence Crawford's height. Terence Crawford actually might be a little taller. If we're looking at Terence Crawford, he's 5'8". So Crawford's actually taller by a half an inch. Okay, but the frames are different. the size, the being able to put on muscle mass, to be able to fill your body, fill your size is different from fighter to fighter, even though different heights are different. Of course, Fundura over 6 foot, he's like 6'5", right? A lot of heavyweights are 6'5", but obviously we know Anthony Joshua versus Fundura, not a fair fight, right? Even though they're the same height. So it's all about the frame, all about the size, all about the experience. Canelo's a very experienced fighter, fought all the way up to 175. Going against a guy like Terence Crawford, if this fight happened at 168 or 160, I think Canelo would just be too strong for him. So Crawford's only chance of beating Canelo would be by winning by decision. I don't think he can stop Canelo. Canelo has one of the best chins in boxing history. I don't think people give Canelo enough credit for how good his chin is. If Triple G couldn't stop him, Kovalev couldn't stop him, Bivol couldn't stop him, a lot of powerful punchers could not stop Canelo. Crawford's not going to stop Canelo. Crawford has some power, but beating a bigger guy like Canelo, knocking him out, I don't see that happening within the next year or two. Okay, Canelo got better defense over the years, ever since that Floyd Mayweather fight. Had more skill, had more speed. It's starting to dwindle more. But he's still out boxing his opponents pretty good. He's still dominating his opponents. I think if Crawford and Canelo fought at 168, Canelo definitely beats him. If the fight happens at 160 or a catchweight, I think it's just going to be how well does Canelo take that cut. Crawford struggled, had his hardest fight against Madrimov at 154. If he's struggling at 154, I can't imagine how he's going to do against 160 or 168 against Canelo, who's a better fighter and all-time great. All right, I don't know how that's going to happen. So I understand the logic of winning this fight. The fans want to see it. I'd watch it, of course. It'd definitely be a good fight, definitely exciting fight. Two of the best fighters of the past 20 years, 30 years, stepping in the ring, facing each other. Skillful fighters, so good at what they do. Different style, types of fights. But, we got to be realistic here a bit. Canelo, 168. Dominating there for years now, undisputed there. Already knocked out, or didn't knock out, but already dominated a Charlo that went from 154 to 168. Jamal Charlo dominated him. Obviously, Crawford's more skilled, better than Charlo, but I don't think it's going to really do much anyway. Charlo did not have the power to stop Canelo. I don't think Terence Crawford has the power to stop Canelo. Nobody really has the power to stop Canelo around that weight range. So we'll see. I don't know. I think the fight should not happen, but throw money, put dollar signs in their eyes, things happen. If it does happen, I'm still picking Canelo. I'm still going to watch it. I just don't know, why it's even in the conversation. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this fight, this future matchup, potential matchup. I think Canelo dominates him, just my opinion. But let me know. Maybe, I know some people picking Crawford, a lot of people picking Crawford, a lot of Bud fans. I don't see it, but let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I'm out, guys. Peace.